So thank you. I feel like we've all kind of had a lot of learning going on. So if you'll just indulge with me and just kind of a 30-second little brain break to things that I would do when I was in my classroom. So just roll with me for a second, just to give us a second to reset our brain.
Grammarly helps make your writing clear and concise. No matter where you are, with Grammarly on
just follow the instructions on the screen. Did you feel it? Awesome. Thanks for just kind of enjoying that with me a little bit. Give us a chance to just reshake and rewire our brains as we move and learn and continue to learn with us today. So I am here. What is transformative family engagement? We know that parents are critical to their student success, and our approach to family engagement is paving the way to the future. Transformative family engagement is a shared effort of families, schools, and community leaders to advance programs, practices, and policies that empower every parent to make their child's potential a reality. Let me move this because this is kind of in the way. Sorry. So let's see what National PTA has to, oh, no, sorry. Of course. Thank you for your.
Transformative Family Engagement is at the core of National PTA's Center for Family Engagement.
Transformative family engagement is something I've been thinking about for months, and it is different from traditional family engagement. We're PTAs. We do family engagement well. We know how to pack a room. We know how to get people into the school. But then what happens next?
So our mission is to ensure that every child's potential becomes a reality. And this is by engaging and empowering our families and communities to be able to advocate for their children and for all children. And so with the ever-changing world, our families are busier than ever before, and our nation's population is more diverse than ever before. And we really need to be able to meet that demand for transformative family engagement.
I often wonder, do other folks feel as comfortable going in and saying, this is what I need for my child, this is what I'm observing, and going in with confidence, whether it's a teacher conference or back to school meeting or a special meeting around a need my child might have. I realize that I may have some tools that others don't have. And I want to make sure that every parent in our community has the ability to advocate for their child in that way. And so I think that's a large part of our job.
And so now in 2018, we have so many families that have parents, either both parents working one or two jobs. We have some parents that are single family parents, and we have now grandparents raising grandchildren. And that's actually a situation that I'm in personally. We have been raising my almost 5-year-old granddaughter since she's 6.5 months old. And so I'm thinking about, to be able to help her, how am I going to be able to do this as an individual who works full time and may not have the same opportunities to get into the school as I did when I had my own children. So we need to look at something that is totally different, totally exciting, that will really engage the parents. And I think if you think about the definition of insanity, it's doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. And if we continue to do things the way we have been doing them, then we're not going to be successful in reaching our parents. So we do need a transformation.
I think we have to be more transformative in including all families so that we can help to achieve a level of equity among our students, making sure that every student is thought of, they're cared for, their families' concerns are present in the work that we do, and so that we're making sure that we are representing all of the children in our school and all of their diverse needs as we advocate for children and try to uplift them through their education and engage their families.
Yes, there's ways that we've done things in the past. Oh my gosh, there's all of those ideas, etc. But at the end of the day, be creative. We've given you a new platform, a new identity, a new opportunity to actually be welcoming, to be inclusive, and to most importantly be creative. Be a great thought leader in the sense of how can you actually take this transformative family engagement, work it within your school, and actually critically think through this entire process and reach out to your entire community.
Equity and effectiveness. These are essential to great transformative family engagement. If you want to learn more about transformative family engagement, go to pta.org/family engagement.
All right, and those were our two past PTA presidents, Jim Macamundo and Leslie Boggs, discussing really how, even though it is a couple years old, how important and imperative it is to really reach our families and go to where they are at. And that means that kind of transforming some of our past views and how we did that before. There are four main I's in transformative family engagement. And that is inclusive, individualized, integrated, impactful. We're going to take a few minutes together to kind of discuss what these look like and strategies to look into our PTAs and see if we're really reaching these four I's. The first one is inclusive. When PTAs are inclusive, they embrace the values of diverse perspectives. And we know that relationship building is critical and key to getting our families in the door. But are we reaching those families that are a little bit more diverse and difficult to maybe connect with? And so how do we have purposeful relationship structure and building? And that means really meeting our families, again, where they are. Having that welcoming environment, being out in carpool lanes, going to high school football games and different community events to see where our parents are, to talk about what we're doing in PTA, or even just showing up in a community fair and having a booth, finding out where our parents are if they're not getting into the schools, and questioning and rethinking how can we include our parents and our families that we really aren't reaching. As our school populations grow, we really need to dive into all of these kids and their needs and their family backgrounds. And so that intentional relationship building, along with scheduling meetings, and this is another thing is big for me. I'm a working mom. I don't say no, so I volunteer all the time. And how am I going to get to all these meetings? And realistically, a meeting at 12 o'clock in the middle of the day is great for others, but I can't do a lunch meeting. So how can we really have opportunities where we have this hybrid and virtual world now to really reach more people and where they can feel more included and don't have to necessarily give something up to be involved. And then also, and this is hard because I know even as some of the things we've taught for years and years and years, the events and the things that we've done for years and years and years, as much as you may not want to rethink those, are we really in, what is the purpose of this event, and are we including something that's valued within all of our populations? So the next I is individualized, and so this is where you really want to get into partnering with teachers and PTA programming and learning that when families attend meetings, they're looking to find out more information that is relevant to their own child. And every parent should leave a PTA meeting knowing how the information presented is helpful to their family. And so sometimes I know I've been in many meetings where I'm really not drawing a link really personally to what the meeting was about, or the meeting really went off on a tangent on one fundraiser or one request or this or that. And I didn't really feel connected with that. And so why am I here? What does this mean? Yes, I want to be supportive of my child and my school family, but how does this really draw me in as being engaged with my own child's academic path? And so we really want to take that opportunity to see how can we individualize things to our families, and how can we tailor experiences? And when communication is critical and key. And a lot of times our families aren't really reading a lot of things that we're doing. I send home within myself. I do a lot of YouTube things when I work, because I know with the families that I work with, it's a lot easier for them to click on a message and listen to me, tell them something or explain an activity with their child, than they are going to read a pen and paper. And so those are things where maybe I don't feel as comfortable on YouTube doing that, or on Seesaw or different avenues, but I know I'm going to reach my parents more. And so I'm going to choose that method of communication. And the other thing is to really think about how to link those opportunities for your child, for their child, with the interest of the community, and invite local experts and your families in to share what they have. And so they're individualizing their knowledge and they're sharing their knowledge. And for instance, we have one maybe very sport athletic family, and a whole bunch of people are going to come watch a hockey family do something. And that would be one event of a sport literacy hockey night. But I could also think of a lot of families that would really love maybe a poet or a play that would come in. And so really kind of understanding where your demographics are and meeting all needs, instead of just thinking of, oh, that one hockey player is going to bring in everybody. Well, maybe not. How can we communicate or tailorize that? Does anybody have any questions yet? Awesome. We're going to keep rolling. And then integrated. And this is a big piece that I'm really working with myself within our school district, is getting those activities that are integrated and events that are integrated with what's going on within the classroom. And so it's really super fun, to have a pumpkin carving night, right? We all love to carve pumpkins, but how can we really relate that to the learning that's going on in the classroom, even at all different levels? So that it's more meaningful and impactful. And it gives me strategies when I go home to even use more and more as learning opportunities. And so instead of just calling it a pumpkin carving night, maybe we could call it a math pumpkin night, or a science and STEM pumpkin night, where we have all the different rotting stages of things. And we have different activities where we're really trying to bring in that learning. And so we're also modeling for our families that we're not just here for the super fun, popcorn carnival sort of things, but that we're here for the root of our child's academic career, and to really support and build that foundation together, because we as parents are our child's first and most important learners, and showing them and modeling them. And then that also brings me to events beyond fundraising. I feel like a lot of times we're just bogged down with fundraising events. And then you kind of get this, well, I don't want to be a part of the PTA because all they're doing is asking for money, or they're asking for volunteers. So really stretch your thoughts. And how can we offer some things and events that aren't fundraising, that just have children and parents being involved together, and teachers, and supporting that school family and building those intentional relationships. All right. And then, of course, the final I is impactful. Because family engagement is complex and relational, it can feel difficult to measure. But even in small steps towards understanding the outcomes of your PTAs, your work can go a long way. And it's hard sometimes to see, feedback is, you want immediate feedback. And one thing, as I was reading up on some of this stuff, is in an event, and when I was planning these events, I would ask for feedback, but I don't think I ever built in time for feedback. And that was one thing that was highlighted as an option of, before people leave, give 10 minutes for feedback, even if it is just I don't know, literacy and art event or something. And so that it's fresh on their mind and they're ready. Or surveying your parents and talking, what are they looking for? What are their families wanting from events and things that they're seeing from schools? And how do we measure that? And even a small measurement is a good measurement, right? I just did a preschool appreciation night for our volleyball team, and I sent home free tickets for all of our preschoolers here in Grand Forks. Did I get a lot of them that came? No, not too many. And that's good because it started at 7 and they were probably really cranky the next day if they came. But those tickets that I came did give me some sort of measurable ability to say that I had some impact, and I can learn that maybe this was an event that was too late for that population, and that sort of thing. As we're moving through trying to be impactful, that's the other kind of practicing those new knowledge base and skills. So instead of having just one event, how can we break that into mini events? And so maybe it's not one STEM night, but it's a series of STEM nights so that families become comfortable, and it's not just that first time, but that second, third, and fourth time they come in and they're, even more and more ready to learn and to continue that learning process with their child. So think about some not so much one and done activities, but activities that can create longevity and comfortability that give your parents and families just one more thing to enjoy together and have that, oh yeah, that is that STEM night coming up or whatever you may be. So I want to take just a second for you guys to think, where does your PTA fall in these 4 I's? And I know we don't have too many people on here. I was going to do like a 2-minute timer and let you guys turn your videos off, but I think everybody's video is off anyway. Since we don't have that many people, is there anybody that really would like to share where they feel their PTA maybe is strong in an I, and maybe where their PTA can grow in one of those I's of transformative family engagement? I'm stumbling, sorry. So I have to say, here in Grand Forks, we don't have any PTAs, and so it's really hard for me to connect locally. But in where the work that I'm doing, I'm really, really trying hard to be impactful, and I really want to be more inclusive of my Nepali and Somali population here. And so that's a goal of mine this year, is to really grow in that inclusiveness.
And Heather,
Hi,
I'll jump in on that.
Oh, yes. Sorry, go ahead.
I'll jump in on that. We have many families as well here in Fargo, and what I'm learning is it is a culture type of thing. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make connections with those communities through mutual friends so that I can reach out to them through a source that they trust as well. I'd love to have them more included. I think there's a lot of maybe misconception or perhaps misunderstanding, and not maybe misunderstanding, but simply not understanding what it is and how we can engage with them. So it's a growing process here for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And hi, this is Lynn Telford.
Oh, yes, go ahead, Miss Lynn.
Hi, so I am at Kennedy Elementary PTA in Fargo, and from 2020 through 2022, we achieved the School of Excellence through the National PTA. And one of our biggest focuses was improving our inclusivity at school. And we learned that really from the surveys that we had done the first year. And then when we did the follow-up surveys, we did show how much growth we had made in that area. We had an excellent English as a second language teacher for those 2 years, and she helped us with getting surveys in the different languages of the families that we had at our school. She developed a world map by our cafeteria where students could put pictures and their names of pictures of their families and where they're from throughout the world. We had welcome signs made in all of the languages that are spoken at our school. And again, this was all through most of last year and the year before. So a lot of the things transitioned to virtual. So then like last year, the families couldn't even come in and see these signs and see the world map. So we did our best to, share on social media, and really hoping that this year people can come in and see those welcome signs in the different languages. And we're being more intentional about creating those surveys in the different languages. I really appreciate Nikki's idea of partnering with the community leaders, which makes sense. Hold on, I have a call coming through. And I think that even looking at having a chair for diversity and inclusion within our PTA is something that we could consider, because we do have a significant population that are from different countries and speak different languages. And so to have a chair of diversity within our own elementary PTA, I think was a really good thing to consider.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I just want to add, because I work with refugees as a refugee resettlement manager, and I still work with a lot of community groups. I think it's important to reach out to, I think your strategies make a lot of sense. I know that when you come from a different country with cultural, language, and racial challenges, we need to be more welcoming and be mentors, so that when we want to recruit any families, we almost need to identify a parent, let's say, who's really strong and wanted to be part of PTA, and maybe use that connections to build relationships with other families. Because once they see someone that they're familiar with, that's where the individualization, being individualized is very important, but also building relationship in that way, because I don't see us as being separate. It has to be integrated. We're part of the community, but as any stranger, and you kind of connect with them and be a mentor for them, at least to guide them, maybe a few families at a time, that will really not just recruit, but retain them. Because retention is becoming a big problem. You're working with people. I'm also dealing with people who are low to moderate income, and with the COVID, it's getting worse.
Yeah.
So it takes more to kind of reach out to it. But I think it's a good start in terms of your strategies about communication and being integrated. And all those are it makes a lot of good sense. I'm very happy to really nominate a person to be the diversity chair, because he's passionate about youth, working with youth, and academically wise. So I hope that he would be able to give us some training, and information about how we could do this better too.
I want to say too, I know sometimes we don't think about partnering with some of the social workers and things that are within the schools, but those are critical relationships for me. So part of my inclusiveness is I have parents that read stories for me that are either in their native language or just an English language, and they'll tape them and we'll use them within my literacy lounges. And so when we're clicking on them, it's a family and their family at home reading. And that's also just building it and bridging into those communities. And I wouldn't have relationships with those families unless I worked within those social workers and those family support avenues, because I'm not in just one school. I oversee all of the preschools here. And so, that's a really good relationship too, that sometimes I think we forget about how to get that inclusivity in there. And then the teacher plug piece in me is really, really hoping that PTA is really looking into more integrated events and really linking that academic portion with the mission that we're going, because to create career and college ready students, that's really where we're heading is that integration piece and really showing and modeling for parents how important it is that we are our child's first and most important teacher. So this is on the PTA website for family engagement. And this is kind of just a really nice little clean thing that I will share with you. In fact, actually, what I'm going to do now is share. This is something that I've learned. The QR codes are really fun as I've started to do a lot of presenting. So if you have your phone or a QR code reader, you can go ahead and scan this right now. And that will take you to this wonderful document. At the bottom of the page, which is PTA's leading the way on transformative family engagement. And because I only had 30 minutes with you wonderful people, I really couldn't dive in as deep as I would have loved to. But this is the document that really has a whole bunch of ideas and thoughts, and that can really help you challenge and rethink your family engagement opportunities. I am always available. Please feel free to email me at heathergchatham@gmail.com. And I'm always looking for new and fun family engagement ideas too. So if you've got something you've got to share, please hit me up and we'll get it shouted across the rooftops. Thank you guys so very, very much. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to take them now. And otherwise, Miss Nikki, I'll give it back to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. That I'm sitting here writing notes. I got a whole page full of notes of things to think of, things to try, people to reach out to, ideas to expound upon. That's just great. And this is probably one of our biggest pieces. I think we know what we want to do. I think we don't quite know the right how, and we'll just keep trying until we figure it out. So all these ideas are wonderful. Does anybody have any additional questions for Heather? Thank you, Heather, for being willing to take questions and allowing people to reach out to you too.
2 minutes till the switch.
All right. Well, shall we take those couple of minutes? And what would you like to do here, Mary? I know it says networking, and that's kind of a working lunch of sorts. Do we want to give
one question for Heather?
Yes.
Heather, you mentioned about, the pumpkin carving and being able to tie it back in. Do you have like a page of suggestions that we as PTA local units can look at?
I don't currently, because my brain is just stocked full of them. I'm happy to share or reach out. I'm working on putting that together, it's something that's constantly changing, as like I'm doing an event with our fire department next week or next month. And it's really an opportunity if you can tie anything back to learning. And that's where I think, again, you're getting some teachers that are really strong within your organization to really help guide some of those conversations is also good. But I'm happy to start working. If you want a whole month, or a whole year, that's going to take me a lot longer. But if we're looking for maybe like a month-to-month sort of thought process, I'm happy to look into that. Or if anybody has any specific, like, hey, I really want to do this event, how can I make this more academic? Please don't hesitate to reach out.
Yeah, I'd love to see like even just like 1 or 2 examples, because that kind of gives us a starting point, because sometimes we don't always have the teachers as actively engaged as we'd like.
Yep. And so what I'm tasked with right now is basically that language and literacy portion, and I want to make sure that all of whatever literacy events I'm doing that I'm allowed to do anyway with COVID, that I'm being inclusive, right? And so I have one that I have scheduled. Well, it was supposed to be in the winter. That was a STEM event that would hit some of these different families versus one in the spring that's more sports and fitness, but they're all tied in academically. So I'd be happy to kind of share my thought processes on those and go from there.
That'd be really great. Cool. I like the examples.
Thanks.
That's wonderful.